there was a little drama going down in that Pablo and Fed match.
A lot of emotions flying around.
Yeah. So just to put things into perspective, everybody knows my MO. You know how much sportsmanship I have, how I appreciate other players, how I respect other players. And the last thing I'm going to do is send somebody to my match to bully a particular player. When I was trying to hype up the crowd, they were thinking that I'm trying to hype up the trash talk and trying to get the trash talkers like talking more trash. That's the last thing I want to do. And I don't even talk any trash. So why in the hell would I want my fans talking trash to my opponents? Even at MLP, I have a wide range of people coming at me. Hayden's in my face, Leia's in my face, Annalise pumping her chest at me. Not once did you ever see me act like a child and do it back. That's not me. So why on earth would I be bringing fans to cause a situation like that? What's going on? My name is Tyson McGuffin. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. Just got back here from Newport Beach. Took the kiddos over there. Actually had the whole gang. Had my mother-in-law, Sky, Craigie, my bodybuilder slash trainer, flew in Tuesday night. And anyhow, it was a great week. Had some great results. I feel like, pretty much back to 100% as far as health and back to myself, feeling confident, having belief, and no, it's just good to to put myself back in that situation and have some belief again and feel like I'm kind of over the hump, less injured, not climbing up the wall anymore, and anyhow, just like in the 8 years that I played professionally, this is the first time getting hurt and all that, so. Just happy to be feeling healthy. Kids are great, growing up fast, and it's a beautiful day here in Coeur d'Alene, and I got my day one right here. Mama, what's going on, girl?
Hanging in there.
She got me sick. She got me sick.
I know, excuse me.
Sucker.
Hey. At least it's just a little tiny little cold that seems like it's
anytime she's sick.
Oh no,
anytime she's sick, she's such a boss. She could do 10 million things in a day. She'll take care of the kids. Doesn't complain at all. Anytime I'm sick, I'm like a 4-year-old.
Well, we'll preface that. I'm usually never sick.
Right.
And when I am, I just feel like I always say I can't get sick. I don't have time. I don't have time.
Get sick.
I don't have time for it.
I don't have time for it.
I can't.
Anyhow, I'm a complete brat when I am sick. And I've been a brat the last couple of days. Been a little edgy, even though I played well in Newport. But Newport was great. We flew in, we flew in Monday. Over the weekend, ended up going to my son Ty's basketball game in Yakima. Drove our brand new whip over there. Got a 2023 Escalade.
Broke it in.
You know that I hit autopilot and did Super Cruise the whole way.
So cool.
Something that I realized about Super Cruise is that you got to keep your eyes. There's cameras all over the car, right?
Forward.
But there's a camera specifically at the steering wheel looking at the driver, making sure that the driver is not, attending to other things in the car or asleep at the wheel. Anyhow, so Super Cruise, one thing I found out is that it goes into manual lock if you take your eyes away for so many seconds. So, Banks is crying in the back seat, saying she wants daddy. I turn my head real quick.
Nope.
And it goes into manual lock. And when it goes into manual lock, it doesn't just turn back on. You got to freaking pull over, turn the car off, turn it back on, and then it's set again. So the only pain in the ass thing about Super Cruise is that you have to keep your eyes looking at the steering wheel. Which is probably very safe.
It's very good, actually.
But if you take your hand off the wheel, it doesn't go into lock. It just simply turns off. If you put your hand back on it, then it turns back on. Anyhow, the car is great. It is white.
All blacked out. All the other stuff is blacked out, though. No chrome.
Yeah, windows are tinted. Nobody likes chrome. We made damn sure that we got the car. We were like,
all
hey,
black.
We don't want any chrome. We want it all black panel.
Yeah, that creamy leather
with that with the peanut butter inside, outside jelly, inside peanut butter, or what?
No, we went down models just to get that leather.
That's what took 16 months. It was all the gadgets and whistles, and my wife insisting that we get the peanut butter interior. I'll tell you what, that peanut butter pops.
It's worth the wait. It was worth the wait, but it doesn't come in massage You don't get the massage seats with that color leather, but I'd rather have the leather color, right? Looks good.
Anyhow, car drives so smooth. Drives like butter, I'll tell you what. I didn't feel a thing.
I think it's our first new car. Well, it's my first new car in my life.
My first new car too. I'll tell you what,
good.
it feels nice, and we have paid our dues, and we're more than rewarding. So
And we'll keep it forever.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Anyhow, cruised over to Yakima. We hadn't been to Yakima for a couple years. We usually get my son Ty every other weekend. Then we get him like a block of time in the summer. Love that man. He's a total stud. 9 years old, loving his gold chains. You know, starting to talk to girls. Loves school though. It's just a diehard in sports. The
Just
guy
got student of the month.
Student of the month.
For
the guy's
like
built
the
just like
fourth
me.
time or
Just like a
something.
little mini me. Anyhow, so we ended up going to his so he had a basketball game and a soccer game, and he loves soccer. And something that we have found out about his education with soccer is that he loves to follow pro soccer players.
Watches
he knows
every video.
Oh, he
reads
knows
every
all the
book.
stats about Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi.
Who's friends with who?
Who's friends with who? The
loves
guy has seen
soccer
it all.
who.
He's just a YouTube soccer junkie, I'll tell you what. Anyhow, so he's probably more experienced in soccer. Anytime he comes to our house, he's known to just play soccer in the house all day or play soccer outside. So we ended up taking him to his basketball game. It was at the same time, and so he had to miss the soccer game. So he was a little bummed about that. But so he ended up playing his basketball game. He must have shot that ball at least 40 times. And it was kind of sad because the team he was playing was not very talented. And I believe they only scored 4 points. The final score was like, 44-4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Ty had 20 points.
But he started passing.
He started passing towards the end. But he spent at least 3.5 quarters hawking up everything.
It was too funny too because we joked about it in the beginning. You were making jokes like that. Keep the ball, make the basket.
I'm like,
And
don't
he
pass. I
even-
said, go out here,
No.
try to score as many points as you can. Don't pass.
But he gave you the talk. He was like, "No, Dad, that's not a good
That's what-
teammate. You
yeah,
got to
right.
pass the ball." And
That's
I'm
what
like,
the coach
"Yeah,
tells me."
see." But then it was the total opposite when we got up.
It was pretty cute. He ended up. He was the only player that got fouled, and so he was on the free throw line a couple times. But there's one time in particular, he shot his first free throw, made it. It was like a total swish. And then as the ref has the ball, he's getting ready to bounce in the ball to shoot his second free throw. Ty's like closing his eyes and like crossing his fingers and like doing this. It was the funniest thing. And then he whether he's watching me or he's a fan of LeBron James, he did like the LeBron stomp, like stomped it down. He was even stomping his feet after one made shot. But the guy's a total character. Went to his basketball game, ended up going to the YMCA after, took the kids over there. They have like this big swim area, tore it up at the YMCA, ate a bunch of good food there in Yakima. I used to teach tennis in Yakima for about 6 years. So all the little staple food places that I used to hit, you damn know that I hit them again. And
Back home and then off.
yeah, and then we ended up cruising back home Sunday night. Monday flew out for Newport and had ourselves a great week in Newport. Started Newport out by going up to Manhattan Beach on that Tuesday. Went
See the
to
whole Skechers fam.
Went to the Skechers flagship store, which is their very first store built.
So pretty down there.
Saw our guy Jeremy, who works for Skechers. Then also pretty sweet, Jeremy introduced me to the founder of Skechers, who showed up to come see to come see me at the flagship store, which was way too cool. Robert was a great guy. Actually, the first thing Robert asked me was, he says, "Is your name really Tyson McGuffin?" I'm like, I believe it is. And he's like, "I love that name." He's like, "I'm gonna root for that name now on the tube."
That's awesome.
Anyhow, so he told me he could put a face to my name now, and he had been following me on YouTube, and now he's gonna follow me a bit more. Anyhow, super cool guy. We ended up tearing it up at that flagship store. Meg walked out of there with about 10 or 15 pairs of brand new Unos. Mama, if you don't mind, talk about those Unos.
Oh my gosh, I love the Unos. I think this is a form of the Uno actually. But most of the Unos are all one color, the same color. But So many different pairs to have, and we found some really cool foamies. I think you got the foamies on. Those are so sweet.
The foamies
And then,
right here, you know it.
come in different colors too. But yeah,
Yep.
and they got the kiddos all outfitted out, and then
Kids got the light up shoes. We got a bunch of lifestyle gear. We ended up having to have some staff follow us out of the store
Like
and
10
take
bags.
bags to our car
Oh my
because we
God.
couldn't carry them all. Anyhow, thank you, Skechers. It's been a great partnership.
Yeah.
Some other cool news. The day after going up to Manhattan Beach and meeting with the Skechers crew, I had a shoot with this company called Rain Storm. Storm is a new drink under the Rain umbrella, I guess owned by Monster. And this is a performance-based drink. It doesn't have any caffeine, doesn't have any sugar, but it is packed with a bunch of good stuff and a bunch of good B vitamins, biotin, niacin. Anyhow, can't talk much about this, but this could potentially be in my future. Had a great time with the Rain team.
Super cool team.
Yeah, they're during the photo shoot or they're during the shoot on Thursday. Got to meet, or I guess got to see Kellen again. Kellen's kind of heading up the project with Rainstorm. And I don't know if I told you guys this, but a couple months ago was in Vegas and got to meet the whole Rain team at this fitness studio there in Vegas. And I walked in, and obviously you know that I'm a combat sport guy. I ended up seeing a gentleman by the name of Tio Lopez. He's a professional boxer, holds the title at I believe 140. Super cool guy. I've looked up to Lopez now for a long time. Guy's a great boxer. Also, Thor was in there. Ava Marie from WWE. Bunch of CrossFit athletes. Brendan Schaub, who's an ex-UFC guy, now does a bunch of content. Anyhow, the whole Rain team is just stacked. Stacked with
beast.
a wide range
It's
of athletes,
insane.
and they're all very fit. And that was my first introduction to Rain and to Kellen and to the whole team. And anyhow, so it was just nice to get some content together there in Newport Beach. And if there's one flavor that I love the most, it is the orange right here.
That's so good.
I've had about 20 of them in the last week or so. And Mama, what's your favorite flavor over there?
You know
what's your favorite flavor?
I think the orange is probably my favorite flavor too, but I did like the kiwi was yummy too. And what I love about it is like I have never necessarily been a big energy drink person, but this
It's got that
like,
B12 in there.
no, it's so easy, and I don't.
light.
It's like
light. It goes down easy. Yeah.
no jitters, everything else. And I think someone told me too that it's got some zinc and stuff in it, so good for our little colds that we're fighting. But zero sugar.
Accelerates metabolism, improves focus, plant-based energy, hair and skin health, and it's vegan.
Never any high fructose corn syrup, artificial source color, artificial flavors, or BS claims. Love that. But yeah, no, super good, super easy to drink. I think I drank like 4 of them maybe a day while we were there, and I was impressed. Super yummy.
It's got a bunch of
And-
B12 in there. B12 always
Yeah.
fires you up.
Some nice, and it's definitely an energy drink that I would like wake up like I did this morning actually.
It's not an energy drink.
instead of
It's
my
a
coffee.
performance-based drink. Get it right over there.
Clean energy.
Clean energy, baby.
But that's the thing. Like I had it in the morning and didn't feel bad about it. So yeah,
Love that.
super yummy.
Love that. Anything my wife can drink in the morning and she's happy about it makes me happy. If she's stressed out, I'm stressed out. If she's happy, it's simple. I'm happy. Okay. Another company that we just partnered up with.
Super excited about this.
Super excited about this. Is a brand called Details Wine. Got myself a bottle of white here. Got a bottle of red right there. You know, we've been soaking some of this stuff.
Way more information to come, but yes, at first taste, so good. I know we definitely drink a few bottles of that this weekend.
Yep.
Of the white. So
And Mom, if you don't mind, where is Details Wine based out of?
Sonoma County.
Which I believe is
Yeah.
still not,
And-
still North Carolina.
Yeah, Details is by Senegal. So, but yeah, super cool branding, really edgy and kind of fun. It's got a goat on the front there. So devil in the details type deal.
So be
super cool.
Be looking on my socials. I'll be posting some stuff about Rain and about Details Wine here very, very soon. But all exciting stuff. And the brand partnership side is starting to blow up. I'll tell you what, it is blowing up.
It's fun to share the stuff we like.
Yeah,
you know, like
for sure.
I mean,
and for all my fans out there, know that I'm not going to sign with anybody unless I truly enjoy the product, love the product, and it's beneficial for me. So
the stuff we use and enjoy, and it's so cool. And it's cool to just work with people that are so craft or gifted in their fields and like are passionate about the product they make. And yeah, super cool.
Check out Rainstorm and check out Details Wine. Okay, we ran a kids camp on that Wednesday. We had 32 kids out there. Kids had a great time. Thank you, PPA, and thank you, Newport, for allowing us to host that event. Always love that the parents can obviously help out during those kids events, because 32-to-1 ratio is very, very difficult. So having those parents acting as court monitors helps me do my job, helps maintain all the craziness. And anyhow, I could not do it without parents and without some of the staff from PPA. So appreciate you guys. Do know that for about half the PPA events, I usually run a kids ordeal or a kids clinic a day or two prior to the PPA event. Maybe it's Tuesday, maybe it's Wednesday. But be sure to check my socials. Be sure to check my Instagram camps page at Tyson McGuffin Signature PB Camps, or you can take a look at PPA socials as well.
Super
Youth
fun.
pickleball is taking off.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the next generation to come. So we want to be sure that those kids are playing pickleball. They're physically active.
Grow the sport.
Exactly. Grow the sport.
And so cool to see.
Because I am only getting older.
Yeah, it's so cool to see too. So most of the parents there, I heard it like more than once. They were like, "Geez, this is useful information to me too." So the parents had their cameras out, and they were filming it, which we encourage all of that.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
it's nothing top secret.
Right. And I think something that my wife just mentioned is that I usually show how to warm up as a professional. I'll show the dynamic warm up. I'll show how to do a proper 5-minute tournament warm up, and then I'll generally introduce one select skill. And so anytime that I introduce a skill, we'll tie it with some drills and then piggyback it with the live situational game. Parents, you can use and abuse all that stuff. There's so much useful information during those kids camps that you can totally take, just like my wife had just mentioned.
Yeah.
No
court time for the parents. The kids are the court time. But,
correct.
But all the information.
Yeah, soak it up, please. And one thing that I do is that I try to really elaborate during the group discussion and elaborate in a sense where lower level kids can understand it. And then also too, I'm going to speak to more of the 4-0 plus kids where maybe it's a bit more tactical. Maybe I'm speaking a bit more in detail about certain strategies. Anyhow, it pertains to everybody, and parents, you can get a lot from it as well. So super fun. And we generally we usually post a photo on my camps page, so kids or parents, you guys can grab that page, save it, blast it on your socials. And
we're starting to get repeat kids, which is so fun.
We are getting some repeat kids, just like how we get repeat adults during my adult camps. Okay, so also I got a haircut. If you guys are ever in Newport Beach, guys out there, if you're ever in Newport Beach and you're looking for a great barber in town, there's a guy named Chino, and Chino has a barbershop about 5 minutes away from Newport. Chino does a great job. Chino always dials me up and does me right anytime I'm in Newport. Appreciate you, Chino. And Lacey and I had a weekend. I'll tell you what. Lacey was the last girl pick for MLP on the Premier Tour, on the Premier League. And I'll tell you what, she has played lights out during MLP, and she played even better in Newport. Our partnership in Newport kind of got put together last minute. We weren't going to play together, or I guess I wasn't going to play that event, and then ended up playing it last minute because Catherine couldn't play. Funny thing is that Lacey and I fought off a match point in our very first match against Pablo Tellez, who I'll speak about later, and Michelle Escovo. We ended up winning 12-10 in the third, but I believe that we fought off a match point at 10-9 in the third. It's funny how those days goes. You fought off a match point first round, and then we beat Jay and Jesse in 3, then we beat James and Anna in 2, and then we beat Ben and Coop in 2, and then about 5 minutes later, PPA says, "Hey, get your ass back out there because you're playing on CBS, and we don't have any time to spare."
Not ideal.
And no excuse here, but I
Yeah.
did not have a whole lot left in the tank in that mixed final. Lacey played great all day. I mean, talk about a girl who leans well, likes her little forehand speed up line. She beat a lot of guys up the line. She's got some, I mean, for a girl that isn't all that bulky either, you know, I mean, she doesn't have a whole lot of meat on her bones. She's got a big, powerful punch.
Throws her whole body into it.
She's got a
It's
big,
like,
powerful
geez,
punch.
crazy.
So, I mean, for a girl that isn't all that isn't all that tall and that doesn't have a whole lot of meat on her bones, she plays super big. She's got powerful hands. She's got a nice little speed up back behind the guy. You know, she loves to serve aggressively. She loves to drive aggressively. And I'll tell you what, she does a lot of things well. So I was super pleased how Lacey played. And on top of that, she fights like there's no tomorrow. And for a girl who hasn't made a whole lot of PPA finals, she played like she has been there. And she played with confidence. And we had a lot of belief all day long. And something that we kept telling each other, or something that specifically I was telling her, is that we're the better team. And yeah, I think just all day long, that like encouragement, me telling her that, hey, we're the better team, we're rewarding, it's our time, like those key messages go such a long ways. And I think she really caught on to the idea that we are the better team, and like allowed her to play free. It gave her confidence. And when Lacey is playing free and she has confidence, she is scary. I'll tell you what. Watch out. Watch out. She may be little, but she is feisty. And guys, you better cover your line because Lacey's coming. But yeah, we ended up, beating Ben and Coop, which was a great win. I actually last year had a win over Coop and Ben as well at the Austin event with Lee Waters. We ended up beating him in 3. And I kind of had some confidence going into that match, looking at last year's previous match, and I knew it was there for the taking. And we came and we took and we conquered, and we were able to finish it in 2. Granted, we isolated Andrea a decent amount. There wasn't a whole lot of speeding back behind Ben. It was more isolation on her, looking to drive at her early and kind of put some pressure on her early through some offense. And it seemed like that was a deciding factor. But yeah, that's a very good team. But yeah, we ended up rolling through that, played the Jansens. The Jansens played very well. Georgia is a complete beast. I think Georgia's like one of the few girls that likes to go at the guy a decent amount, and she can beat guys head to head.
Team C&P, Team Chicken and Pickle.
Team Chicken and Pickle. Anyhow, they played better than us. They had more in the tank, and we ended up losing 9-7. But overall, I thought it was a very good showing for Lacey and I. And we'll see if Lacey and I play any more this year. Also, James and I'll tell you what, there was a little drama going down in that Pablo and Fed match.
A lot of emotions flying around.
Yeah. So just to put things into perspective, everybody knows my MO, how much sportsmanship I have, how I appreciate other players, how I like respect other players. And the last thing I'm going to do is send somebody to my match to bully a particular player. I'm just going to read one of these social posts that was posted by somebody thinking that when I was trying to hype up the crowd, they were thinking that I'm trying to hype up the trash talk and trying to get the trash talkers like talking more trash. That's the last thing I want to do. And I don't even talk any trash. So why in the hell would I want my fans talking trash to my opponents? Even at MLP, I have a wide range of people coming at me. Hayden's in my face. Leia's in my face. Annalee's pumping her chest at me. Not once did you ever see me act like a child and do it back. That's not me. So why on earth would I be bringing fans to cause a situation like that? And anyhow, so there were some things that were said during the match. I honestly do not know what those things were that were said. I do not believe they were nice things from what I hear or from what Pablo's talking about. I honestly haven't talked to Pablo either, even though after the match, Pablo sent me a text saying, I'm sorry. I see you as the face of the sport. I fully respect you, and I probably handled things the wrong way. As we all have seen, PPA's fining Pablo. I'm very neutral about that whole thing. And something that I also didn't know is that Pablo during MLP not to bring it up, but Pablo during MLP in Daytona, or maybe it was Mesa, was the only player to get a blue card because he had said something to a fan in the crowd, which was similar to what happened in Newport. Anyhow, boys are going to be boys. It got pretty hot. A finger may have been thrown and some words were exchanged. I was out of it. I'm not involved in any of that stuff. Even though I was looking over in that area, that was my coach over there. That was my wife over there. That was my good buddy Matt over there. And anyhow, it got out of control very quick. And I think at the end of the day, like Dane Gingrich, I'm gonna elaborate on what he said. Okay, so Dane basically saying, hey, like Tyson's great for the sport. He gets, he's got all these fans. He gets a lot of support from his fans. He likes to get the crowd going. And it brings this whole added element of energy, into his matches and stuff like that. And Dane's specifically saying that I'm great for the sport in that sense, right? I'm marketable. There's plenty of people that support me, and I'm known to really get the crowd, on the edge of their seats and to get the crowd going and very involved, right? Dane also said that in that sense, no player should ever take it in the way that Pablo did or show the emotion that Pablo did. You know why? Because at the end of the day, do we have any control over what the fans are going to say? No. Do we have any control over what these keyboard warriors on social media are going to say? No. You got to focus on yourself. You got to do you, and you got to be bigger than all of that.
And this isn't new. I like maybe this instance was something that like stuck out for the first time in a while, but like, I mean, for how many years have there's certain ladies or whatever that are coming to these matches and they're overly excited and they're cheering and honestly, like from the crowd aspect, like when someone asks me, like there were plenty of people kind of new to the sport that were there, new vendors, new people that hadn't spectated before. And they flat out asked me like, is it okay to cheer? Is it okay to trash talk? Is it okay? And I had to guide them, like not during a point, it's not okay. After a point. Yeah, absolutely. Not during a point. And so, yeah, I mean, I think to Dane's point, he was saying, this isn't golf. This isn't tennis. Right. People can get a little crazy. People can get a little wild. That's kind of the beauty of pickleball. It's that backyard feel, that backyard sport. But yeah, I mean, I think okay to still guide fans, but yeah, absolutely. It just to react in that way, more so we should be educating the fans if we need to on etiquette. Yeah. And I know Don kind of tried to throughout the match, but I don't know
that
specifically.
That whole match too was so emotional. Like Pablo and Fed, are playing the country club card. They want to rotate out the ball every couple points because they're always looking for like a better ball. Fed's complaining about my serve. Those guys also were like complaining about the crowd. And so I don't know, it
was a lot going on.
Yeah, it was a lot going on. Yeah. I guess my only opinion is that we got to focus on ourselves. Like the fans loved it. The crowd's going crazy. That's what the people are there for. Give the people what they want and keep your mouth shut. Don't worry about petty stuff. Don't worry about my serve. Don't worry about the crowd.
And fans though, don't call the ball in or out.
Yeah.
That's something that we all said. Like, don't be doing that. And that happened I was sitting in the crowd and I heard it on both sides. There were fans of each team that were trying to call the ball or were trying to like talk in the middle of a point, and nobody wants that. I mean, that should be a known thing, but all the rest of it is what it is.
Anyhow, so Iggy and I ended up losing that tough battle. I think we lost like 11-7 game 3. Actually, no, it was 11-9. It was like 9-8-9. And could have gone either way. A few points here and there. James and I are still trying to, figure some stuff out. But I think we're, heading in the right direction. We ended up climbing back through, made the 5th and 6th match, beat a bunch of teams in the back draw, and then ended up losing to DJ and to Zane. And one particular thing that I'm going to say is that in a match that I played in Newport, a men's match, a male that I was playing head-to-head, it just comes to show his immaturity and just how soft he is. This guy basically said never. I tried to speed up at him, and right when he hit the volley, he said never. And I don't know. I mean, talk about a dude who acted like he was about 8 years old. I've got zero respect for him. And I don't know. It's just, it rubs me the wrong way. Obviously, there was some hindrance there. I'm not going to like, I'm not one to
Call it.
complain at the ref or tell the ref, hey, he said something as I was trying to speed up, or anyhow, we ended up losing the point, ended up losing the match. But I don't know. It's just funny. Like there's a lot of personality in pickleball right now, and there's a lot of players trying to make it. There's a lot of players trying to use other people's clout to like build their brand and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just very entertaining to see the landscape right now and to see how some of these players are trying to make it. And obviously there's added pressure. There's brand deals. We're all trying to make a living and stuff like that. But keep your mouth shut as you're in a point, and if somebody comes at you, don't ever say never, because that's I don't know, it's just something very childish, and I don't think there needs to be talking during points, and that is simply my opinion. Some other news about Newport. Ben and Colin go down. First time ever. Into who? Ben Newell and Phillip. Fear the Phillip. I'll tell you what, Phillip picked Colin apart left and right. And it comes to show that maybe there is something there. Maybe if you bring some blind aggression and you just say, screw it, I'm going to make it messy. Ben was pulling the trigger on his third. They were crashing. There was lots of let tapes. As we all know, if Colin and Ben's opponents are, hitting let tapes, Colin usually throws his hands up, shows a lot of emotion, and that what was happening. Anyhow, they used the drive. They went at Colin early. They didn't dink a whole lot. There wasn't a whole lot of rhythm, and they didn't beat him on center, but they beat him on court number one. There was a lot of people there. Phillip's girlfriend, don't know her name. She ended up filming the match. You guys can,
who knows?
Girlfriend,
Sorry.
wife. You guys can find the match on YouTube. And don't know a lot about Phillip, but James and I ended up playing him and Ben in the back draw.
We met Phillip for the first time in Kansas City, right? At a little
chicken and pickle
pro exhibition thing.
Guys got some game for sure. Doesn't look like he's got game, I'll tell you what. But do not judge a book by its cover.
Is it? Would you call that first strike pickleball? I was here, you guys.
Yeah, I call that blind aggression, no rhythm. I'm gonna go down your throat, and I'm going early. Going often, going early. Take it or leave it.
I know you guys have seen teams like that every once in a while.
Yeah,
pop in there.
And then after they beat the Johns boys, guess who they lose to? They lose to Tardio and Whitehead 7-2. What? What? It's insane. How do you beat the best team in the world and then lose to who and who 7-2? It's crazy.
Momentum dip, right?
Right.
Is that what you say?
No, it's an adrenaline dip. It's like you have all this like adrenaline going into this match. You beat the best team in the world and you get up on a pedestal, and then that very next match you're right back down to earth. And they got rolled, and it just comes to show that anything can happen. It is pickleball. It is sports. Anything can happen on any given day. Yep. Fear the Phillip and fear that backhand flip. I kid you not. How many tattoos did he put on CJ? And not to throw shade at Ben at all, but there was zero communication between Ben and Colin. Anytime Benny is not losing, it is pretty quiet. Something that I've noticed about Ben, the few times that I have beat him, is that sometimes, when he's losing, he is known to take his hat off. When he takes his hat off, you know that you're getting close. And my wife has seen that. When he takes the old hat off, you are getting pretty freaking close.
Is that or a timeout, right?
Well, he hates using timeout. Oh, if he uses a timeout, you are extra close. You are extra close. Okay, Sarah incident. I'm gonna have my wife touch on this since we just talked to Carl Schmitz earlier on today. So if you don't mind, just give us the lowdown on some of the testing, some of the things that Carl talked about, and then what was stated to Sarah before the match.
So I know we talked about Utah and that there was no deflection testing on site, but that was kind of the hot topic, was these delaminated paddles. What are we going to do about it? We touched on it on the last episode. So since then, there's actually a new test, and I don't know, maybe existed before then, but the equipment wasn't on site in Utah, but it was on site in Newport. But it is like an ultrasonic testing that
Ultrasonic?
yeah, which is actually a little better than deflection testing in that it can detect the breakdown of the materials, because there's actually two types of delamination as far as what we learned this morning, where the face actually kind of comes off the surface, or there's some where the core actually breaks down a bit, which is what creates that gap, which can create the trampoline effect, which is where we get the hot paddles. So this new test is kind of a better way, easier way there, to figure this out. So in Newport, you could voluntarily have your pedals tested prior to the whole tournament if you wanted to, which I think a lot of players took advantage of that. I know, Tyson, you were one of the ones that did. So just to know that you were in good standing before even starting the tournament. If you made it to the quarters, it was mandatory. So even though Tyson already had his paddles pre-tested and he had the stickers, right before quarters, he had to have them tested again. And
so for mixed, essentially, I had him tested the first portion of the day.
Yep.
I had him tested before James and Anna in the quarters, and then I had him tested before the Johnson. So they got tested 3 times that day.
Right. So essentially, and all players had this happen, essentially the new testing, you kind of have a red, yellow, green. So red, it's failing. You can't play with it. It didn't prove the test. Yellow, it's very close. It could result in a failure after the match, basically saying, hey, your paddle's going out. It's becoming delaminated, or it's possibly could be getting there. You probably shouldn't play with that. And for the most part, I believe the handful of players that did get the yellow, they just put that paddle down and they provided another paddle in which they got kind of the green light on. And so for most players, that's what they chose to do. There were a few players, I think, that had been given the signal that, hey, this is yellow. I don't know if you want to play this or not. Which at that point, technically it's passing, I guess, but there was one player in particular in the men's final using a gamma paddle. I think we all know who. I talked about this on my previous podcast. In a previous tournament, yeah.
Right. And I played him in St. George. Anyhow, his paddle tested in the yellow before his final. He went to a brand new paddle just to clear things up.
Right. So essentially, I believe Sarah was guided that, like, hey, this is pretty close. Probably don't.
It's in the yellow.
Yeah, probably don't want to play with it. She did play with it. After the match, it was challenged. I believe Lacey challenged the paddle.
Lacey and Lena.
And Lena. And so the paddle was then tested after the conclusion of that match, in which it was then now in the red. It failed. So even though it passed prior, it then failed afterwards. And I believe everything was warned and told ahead of time, to my knowledge, that, hey, if this happens, this is what's going to take place. And so warnings were given. This is the first of it. This is the first that I believe a result's been taken away from someone because of it. So essentially after it failed, I believe they were then disqualified. And so then Lacey and Lena moved forward. And that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. And if you don't mind, give me your opinion on Salome's response on social media, leaving a note basically saying that, like, her paddle came back from Leia's challenge. It was not delaminated. She just wanted to kind of let everybody know.
Well, I think
what's your personal opinion on that?
Gosh, I think I spoke on it before. There was a lot of emotion involved in that whole thing, and there were a lot of things said, and I think there were a lot of punches thrown both directions,
throwing jabs,
especially towards Salome. I think from a couple different players, and who knows, maybe some of that stuff was valid, maybe not, but gosh, it looks not so great.
Give the girl a chance.
Obviously there was a lot of accusations thrown her way, and then having this result come back and not be an issue. I think everybody kind of has to eat their words a little bit. And I think it just points back to the fact of be careful.
We have to be rational with our thinking.
Be rational.
And with our responses.
Yeah, because you don't want that black eye back. You don't want that coming back at you. I'm sure that's the last
think Leia
thing.
cares?
I'm assuming it's the last thing she wanted. I don't think so. To like put a cap on that and move it aside, I feel like, especially after talking to Carl this morning, and we'll cover that. You guys have to look for that
Holy
episode.
Schmitz.
But I love this idea of green, yellow, red. Players are equipped with the information. They'll know ahead of time. You know exactly your risk going in, and they're pretty confident that if a paddle was to get a green, unless it's a catastrophic failure, which it sounds like is not very common, but it sounds like to me, if you're given kind of the green paddle thumbs up before you play your match, it's a pretty confident feeling that that paddle's at least going to make it through that whole entire match. And if it does, great, because the next round you go into, it will be tested again. So we're equipping the players with great information, and I think it's good. I think this solves it. I mean, maybe there's a little bit more to this that we like kinks that have to be worked out, but I felt like the process went really well. I think all the players were happy to have their paddles tested. I don't think there was any stigma placed on it. And even like to Sarah's credit, like I don't think like, you know, she intentionally showed up with bad paddles and all of the above. I think we're learning about this issue. That's something that can happen to paddles as it goes along. But now we know, right? Like if you get a yellow, it's probably a bad idea. Don't play with that paddle. You know your risk and you know what's going to come from it. So, you know, make sure you bring plenty of paddles, make sure you're getting the paddles tested, and know that the paddle manufacturers are taking this information to heart and they're fixing things. Gamma's not intentionally doing that. Selkirk didn't intentionally do anything. No. And so all of this information, what's really cool about what USA Pickleball is doing and what the tour is doing is all of this information is being communicated back to the paddle manufacturers. It's being worked on together.
Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. And take the stigma off the players. Take it off the companies. Take it off the players. This is an issue that everybody's dealing with. It's a safety issue. It's a results issue. But at the end of the day, don't be ashamed. If your paddle fails or it comes close to failing, it's all right. Put it get rid of it, toss it, get a new paddle out. It will pass. Like there's no, at least to my knowledge, I don't think there's any paddle that all the way across the board, every one of them is failing. It's just an issue that happens. It's a breakdown in the paddle. And so, yeah, take the snippets, quit attacking players, quit attacking companies. Nobody's out there intentionally doing it. If they are, this is going to solve it. But do I think Sarah intentionally was out to cheat? Absolutely not. So don't beat them over the head over it. But it's been a learning experience, and I think Sarah's. I mean, I didn't read everything, but it sounded like from the Jill post that I read that they're like obviously respecting the process and that they're understanding that their takeaway from this is they had to learn the hard way. But now everybody knows. I don't know. So that's my opinion.
Right. North Carolina coming up. We're take off for North Carolina this Sunday. We're going to be staying at a host family, actually right next to Mr. Sock. Got us hooked up. I'm going to train with Jack all week, get them all tuned up and ready, and look forward to playing North Carolina. It's in Charlotte there. K-Mac's running a camp on that Monday, Tuesday. If you guys want to get K-Mac'd, get over to my website. Go to TysonMcGuffin.com. And get yourself signed up for that North Carolina camp with K-Mac. I'm playing men's with Sock. I'm playing mixed with Parento. And I'm balling in singles. Mama, you will be there. And no babies.
No babies.
Woo!
No, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun week. And then we go straight from there to New York City. I think we're going to
talk about that.
Check a pickle in the city. And it should be fun. It's going to be a fun event with
Skechers.
A bunch of, Skechers is kind of hooking the whole thing up. You'll be kind of teaching. I think you and Catherine will be teaching some industry people, different media outlets and stuff, like teaching them about the game, how to play.
I'm going to teach them one thing. Don't have premature ejaculation. Right?
Right.
Okay? If you're going to play, it's got to be calculated.
How cool.
Dink first and then speed. Go ahead.
How cool. It's going to be a cool experience for you and Catherine's brands. Super cool for Skechers. huge for the growth of the
Bring on the media.
sport. Exposure.
Yeah, for
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's super fun. And it's cool too. We're going to like Hustler Nation. So going to New York.
Hustler
and
Nation.
Hopefully be hooking up with Corey, our GM, and maybe doing some fun stuff there too. So yeah, excited about that just for a couple days and then rushing home to get back to the babies and the rest of the fam. So, but it should be a fun trip.
Okay, love it. All right, well, make sure you guys subscribe, turn those notifications on to my YouTube channel called Tyson McGuffin Pickleball. Appreciate you guys. My name is Tyson McGuffin. This is the McGuffin Show. We will see you next episode, and I love this princess right here. I'll tell you what.